Welcome again to this session on the Sweetpot Principle and its ramifications across the Global Q-Helix. Recall that the Global Q-Helix is about those 4 main areas in the world where we can work harder to use our knowledge to impact the world. Academia, government departments, industry sectors, and wider society. And these are, of course, in academia, we're talking about universities, polytechnics, colleges of education, and so on and so forth, even pre-university levels, schools, and so on and so forth. Of course, in government, all the ministries, finance, economic development, science and technology, so many ministries, agriculture, they are the departments, and of course, secretariats generally, and all the organs of government, the central bank, and so on and so forth. So let me just again put my video. Thank you very much, Prof. And to find out that, again, the industry sectors are many. We give a list because we are sending a PowerPoint of a talk we normally give on the corporate academic model, these different industry sectors. But you can even remember them, some of you. Automobiles and parts, agriculture, banking and financial services, telecommunications, retail, consumer retail, for instance, transport, so many. And the question we're asking is, how do we actually impact these things? And I will tell you why we are working on the Sweetpot Principle. And the other one is wider society, which is about communities, towns, different locales, actually. Okay, where, for instance, if your university is based somewhere, say, how can I make impact in my, in the environment of my university? If my university is located in maybe Oka, for instance, how do I impact that city, that town? Oyo, Maiduguri, Accra, London, and all, wherever it is. The Sweetpot Principle is actually a way of selecting projects that have maximum impact across these areas. Because if you don't have that kind of principle, you find people just solving easier problems just to be able to publish, which is not bad. But the problem is, and so what? After that has been published, the person has got promoted. The thing is not even impacting much society that it ought to impact for us to develop our countries. So it's about choosing the projects that have maximum power. And it has 3 elements there. 1, can I identify problems that are pervasive? That is, encountered by millions and billions of people across the Q-Helix, different levels of the Q-Helix, of course. Can I do that? Because if I do that, it means if I solve the problem and create a solution, or offerings, or products, or services, or if I develop a company or digital platform for solving that problem, it means there will be buy-in by a lot of people, and that makes the investment worthwhile. It means I can actually break even much faster than if I was not looking at problems of that character. The other one is, okay, most problems are already solved, or their solutions are being improved. So the next one you do is, can I do enough research to understand existing solutions, or near solutions, or alternative solutions? And then understand them to the extent of saying, oh, these are what they are not doing. Because if I know what they are not doing, I say, okay, let me add those functionalities. People do it in software engineering, for instance. That's why you get all these releases of those different software. It starts with beta version where they're still testing it. And then when it stabilizes and it's doing what it should do, every year they keep releasing it to add new functionality. So we need to do that to be able to understand what exists and how we can improve it. And the third element of the Sweetpot Principle is, can I demonstrate that I have actually solved it better? So the evidence base for saying, oh, my own solution is better, is the last element of that, the triangle of forces within that principle, for instance. But what does better mean? You know what I mean? What does better mean? Better means that we must have actually understood the user needs thoroughly. It pinpoints what is the more, which is the reason why they actually want that solution to be better. Journeys, their experiences using that product over time, which is called user journeys. Understanding even where they're coming from, their personality, their persona. This is the language you use in user research, for instance. Because if you know their persona, you can now shape a product towards that. The persona of a first-year student is different than that of a master's student, or even a PhD student, or even a lecturer, for instance. So you need to do those things. But beyond that, you need to also know how to use numbers and evidence to justify improvement. That's where a little bit of understanding of statistics, or at least financial calculations, can come in. You don't have to know it, but you can work with somebody in that field, and so on and so forth. So that's about it when it comes to the Sweetpot principle. But I will give examples to show why, if we do not do that, most of the things we work on are, I don't know how to put it, puerile. They don't solve much problem. Because if I decide to write a paper about, let's say about how my wife uses money to buy things in the market, you can, because truly speaking, that is what it's about, because you really have to do the problems that many people will buy into. Of course, you can solve genuine theoretical problems to find something new in your area. Okay, that's fine. That's the theory of your work, which is in traditional PhD, which corporate academics must do as well, to find new knowledge. For its own sake, yes, you can do that. But we cannot have the luxury in developing countries to keep only looking for that kind of knowledge. If the applications are not there and our society is going down, no. There's no luxury to do that. That's why we need to be careful not to allow ourselves to be over-managed by so-called protocols that have been laid down by other people who are doing even other things that we're no longer doing. Okay. So that is what I wanted to share with us about the Sweetpot principle. You can look at applications for it. If I'm in microbiology, for instance, what are the nature of problems I can solve in microbiology that will, relieve many more people of difficulty? Of course, you have to do the normal thing that, do the lab testing to be able to determine what people are suffering from in order for them to be cured. Those are okay. But if you want to go into mobilizing microbiological knowledge to be able to do big things that impact bigger problems that the world solves, then you have to connect microbiology to other things, because it may not do it alone. You have to think of the biochemical background of what you're trying to do. Biochemistry leaps in straight away. Other disciplines will start coming in. Already when you train the university, you study those disciplines. So that's the reason you are taking other disciplines in order to be able to combine them in one. Take any other example, just like that. Studied mathematics, you can only solve more problems with it if you join it with some other thing, maybe business, maybe. The Sweetpot will also show, okay, for us to solve those big problems that affect the world, we may need to know how to join up our knowledge with some other disciplines, which is exactly what the corporate academic model is about. Because you're not talking about the PhD alone, you're talking about the PhD, the GCL. I said GCL is a better form of CPD, because the CPD is just about knowing more about your own tiny discipline, but GCL is more voracious. Connected cognate, you're studying things that are related. I'm not a physicist. I use a lot of theoretical models, from models from theoretical physics to think about reality and know whether actually I can get new things. One of us on the platform is PhD that he did with me here. I think he's no longer there, Thomas. We had to use some very ingenious ways of bringing other disciplines to solve problems in stock market analysis. We are trying to introduce derivatives in Nigerian stock market, but we've never traded derivatives anywhere in the country. So we have no evidence to use. We have to go to South Africa and start trying to see whether we can use the South African data to do the work. So it needed a lot of more disciplines coming in order for us to crack the problem. Otherwise, we couldn't have got this doctorate. So these are the things I'm talking about. When you read the pre-reads and you want to ask any questions, we're always there. What is important is that you are thinking in terms of how do I choose the right. Now that we're here, do you then know why most people write proposals that they think that are good for grants and don't get it? It's because look at all the technical things in it from your field, but the people that are valuing it or evaluating it say, oh, it doesn't solve significant problems. So why are we giving this money to this person? The other person is solving a problem that will help more people. Therefore, we give the money to that person. So sometimes we lose grants because we didn't think through realities. So what I want us to do is please, on this principle, from the standpoint of your own discipline, and ask yourself, how can I improve some topics to work on? You can always come back to us when we talk together about your ideas about topic formulation, especially if you're supervising graduates, please. Don't just give topics because they are within my field or somebody else has done it in another university. I want to do it in a new location. That's not incremental knowledge. The concern is something works in Anambra State, it's very likely to work in Lagos State. Because I'm now doing it in Lagos State, it's completely different. Because the subjects to study will be different, it doesn't mean that the results are going to be that different. I don't do that kind of topics, to be honest, because they don't meet the principle on which I work. Dr. Mba?
Good morning, Prof.
Yes, you want to ask a question?
Yes, I have something to say. I want to say a very big thank you for the sessions. Though I've been having issues with my...
Yes, don't worry. I can see the bandwidth problem. Yeah, don't worry. Important thing is that, because we send materials, we send even more, and we can always engage people, because we come to our platforms, we bring you on our platforms, you can always chat with us, no problem at all. Okay? And the other thing is that this is what we do because we need to do that. My joy is that I'm doing it, Of course, people may say thank you, but to me, it's just we thank God for giving us opportunity to work together. And I don't know it all. That's why I work with people and develop things with them in their own disciplines, why they are leading it, because I don't know the technical, I don't know their disciplines the way they do. So I always like to work with people that way. Okay? So people can put things on chat and send later on, you have our emails and everything. You can send a lot of questions to us, no problem at all. The important thing is understanding the principles and giving yourself time to walk through them. Ask yourself, oh, how can I apply this? Some of these principles are just natural, for instance. It's about how high the stakes are. If I want to do something, what are the costs and benefits of it? If there's a lot of benefits for it, it's almost similar to the Sweetpot Principle, therefore I can engage in it. You know what I mean? This is why when we do PhD texts, we spend a lot of time structuring the PhD text. The reason is that we want to make sure that the Sweetpot Principle or something close to that is met. I remember when we do what's called a tournament in the PhD I supervised with Professor Odo 2012. I had to come down to Abuja. He came down for the student is based in Abuja, though it's a split my student in UK here who comes and goes. And we took 3 days just to structure a PhD tech, end-to-end mapping. Each time we're asking what value is coming out of this. Otherwise, why are you spending that student's time doing something just to be a doctor? It doesn't make sense. So that's the Sweetpot Principle for you. Please, let's apply it. Let us work on knowing how to use it. We have follow-on training programs of these things. The only thing I have to make as a remark is that I've seen that a lot of people, because of this enabling environment in developing countries, where the resources are not there to go around, people don't have money to spend on themselves, to invest in themselves. The challenge we all have to find a way of solving. Part of the way we are solving it is to give away our training almost at peanuts, and sometimes not to even take money from people for those events, especially those that are students that we know they cannot afford it. Even if for those that are lecturers, we bring it down to the floor, because it's about democratizing the knowledge instead of trying to commercialize it. But of course, when people don't pay for something, they don't value it. So that's why even if it's a little, please, oh, I've spent this, let me go. At least make the person more motivated. It's not about the money. Because what brings the money is not individual contributions that people make on events. It's when the products and services are selling globally, that's when the money comes. But the important thing is not about even the money, it's about the vision, that person's vision. So I want us to work together as family, as people who want to change things for better, for ourselves, for our country, for our people, for our continent, for the world. Okay? There are a lot of books. Later on, I'll send you a lot of literature to you guys. You can also start reading more widely than you might be doing at the moment. I know everybody's now, to some extent, thinking about the lunch break, isn't it? To have a breather. I just want to make a remark that when you set up a center for the application of every discipline in every department in every university, for instance, these principles have to be taught. They have to know even the Sweetpot Principle. They have to know what problem to work on. It doesn't mean that when a client walks in with a problem, you don't solve it. At least that particular client needs that solution. You must do it. But I'm saying, generally, in choosing the problems to work with on your own, not the one brought in by a client who is ready to pay for that solution. Any problem that somebody brings and is ready to pay what it takes to solve it is already meeting the principle. But I'm saying, if you're choosing the problem yourself, in order to make it more impactful, you have to think about solutions that more people can benefit from. That's a nice way to summarize the idea of the Sweetpot Principle. Okay? But another thing I want to say is, in your department, please, research and consulting units as currently constituted are nowhere near what we're talking about. Because if you look at the way they work, senior academics, for instance, we're bringing a little project, a grant, do it one or two. Sometimes students are not even involved. It's just academics doing it. Sometimes some departments don't even have research and consulting units. Even to begin to talk about what we're talking about. What we're talking about is, how do I put it? Is the A game in monetizing a department. Any department that has the structures we are talking about doesn't need government money to buy the resources they need, because they generate so much money from these ideas. Okay? And this is what I want us to start doing, to be honest about it. Okay? We need to start doing this kind of things. Otherwise, it's like individual game. We're only doing the academics for ourselves and then just teach students and then give them degrees. At the end of the day, they don't know how to think of problems and structure problems and solve problems that can add value to all these areas we're talking about. Each time I'm trying to find different ways of driving these points in, because I'm very passionate about them, to be honest. Okay. I don't see why today we still depend on oil. We don't need to depend on oil. Okay? We don't. It's unfortunate that we depend on one product when we can generate far more than that. Income from our thinking can completely, outclass what we earn in oil. Because the oil is not benefiting the entire countries that own them. That's why we have what is called the oil curse. The people that are enjoying the oil money are not even the people that own the oil. So what is the point about it? You need to generate wealth from all academic institutions, firing on all cylinders. Okay. We are kind of coming to the end of, might be coming to the end of this session, but not completely. We have another 10 minutes. And it might be good, therefore, for us to keep asking questions, for us to keep working hard and giving examples of the principles. I'll give you one example again, just while you're doing your own. When we chose to do a research on the PhD tech research on integrated business modeling for developing digital internationalizing firms in Nigeria. That is the kind of model that we used to develop companies like Google, Microsoft, because they don't exist in Nigeria. I can't see that existing in Nigeria. Even in Africa, maybe just one or so that is managed to become a unicorn and is currently having challenges. So I said to myself, if we can develop a business model that is integrated, that connects digital economy tools and techniques and processes, marketplace ideas, platform economics with integrated business modeling and planning that is normally done in business school, and then, of course, reinforced with statistical evidence base, that triangle can create a new model for doing business models and planning. And it can help us to catalyze the creation of digital platforms across Africa, across Nigeria, for instance, across developing countries. Do you see how that topic meets the Sweetpot Principle? Because every country I'm talking about in sub-Saharan Africa doesn't have this. So you are thinking of now up to 50-something countries in a continent not having something. So multiply 50-something countries by the number of their populations, you get millions and billions of people. This is what I mean by thinking about PhD tech topics that can drive a lot of things when complete. Just one example. If you take another example, for instance, the PhD we supported in leisure, embedding employability and entrepreneurial development skills and employability skills in the teaching and learning of leisure and tourism in Ghana, and creating a model for doing it practically. Because Ghana has a coast on the Atlantic. They have nice places they can, improve their leisure, just like Nigeria has, but they're not doing. Again, it's solving a lot of problems for people. And it's not only Ghana, other people in the world can fly into Ghana to enjoy those facilities. So it meets the Sweetpot Principle. You don't have to choose a topic that does not come near enough to the Sweetpot Principle. It's just like a ship sailing without the lighthouses. In the dark, how does it see where it's going? So the Sweetpot Principle is actually a lighthouse in an ocean, guiding ships to go the right direction, if I want to use that metaphor. And I think I don't want to say, because it might be a bit scary, that 80% of research that has been done in the last 60 years in Nigeria has been useless. And some of them are happening as we speak. That's the truth. And that is why we are not developing. Okay? These protocols are very key to changing that situation. I'm only motivating us to take this thing seriously. The problem I have is that the organization of universities and polytechnics has strict rules about how people are promoted. And they think that if they do bigger things than what they are required to do, they will not rise fast enough. That is an illusion. Because if you do what I'm doing today, you have far more capacity to publish. Because you can publish across disciplines if you want. And that is why you need to learn something that can empower you to do the thing you're doing even better. Okay? And to be a rainmaker in your institution. The guys that bring in the money. That's very important. Okay? So, I think that we've done good justice to this principle with examples, agitating your minds, getting you to think, oh, that's true. I need to change my game. I need to do something else. And look, there's no perfect thing in the world. I'm not saying that you walk away from here and become adept at that. Even myself, I'm still learning how to do it. But each time you learn, you improve. That's the important thing about this thing. Okay? What is not on is not wanting to learn. Okay? Yes. When I come to proposal writing, you see how if I write a proposal, I get about 6 of them. But normal hit rate in proposals is about 1 out of 10, isn't it? Why is my own so much bigger? It's because I have deep systems for writing these things. So when they come, they stand on their own. And therefore, people that know the value will say, oh, no, we have to fund this one. That's what I want to share with you. I even have all the protocols I'm going to send to you and coach you on how to use them. So there's nothing I'm hiding. There's no need to hide anything. There's enough to go around anyway. Why am I hiding things? The progress of somebody does not stop my own. So what is the need trying to hide? It's not a competition, all right? It's about working together to improve ourselves and our systems and our countries. If anybody wants to chip in something, that's fine. But all I want you to do is please questions, so that we can now go into conversations. I'll give you a simple example. When I did a program with Professor Odo on advanced research methods. That was 2010 or so. Yes, 2014. As soon as we finished that event, it was a 3-day event. Oh, I did it in Abuja. I landed in Oyo to teach. The very night I landed in Oyo, after sleeping, I wrote a response to all the questions that people asked and sent to them before I stepped into the class to teach in Oyo. Because I take it seriously that when people ask questions to know something, you need to respond to it immediately. I have that response today. And then it opened my eyes about what needs to be known, that people want to know. So please, let us keep conversing, asking questions so that we can all work together to improve our departments, to improve our universities ourselves. Okay? So, in summary, therefore, I want to thank you for this session that we have covered what is called the Sweetpot Principle, having 3 elements: identify problems that many people will benefit from, pervasive problems, knowing existing solutions, trying to work hard enough with others, not only ourselves, to create a better solution, and being able to show that it's a better solution by evidence, by showing that it has better functionalities, that it makes the users better, it's more user-friendly, it addresses their needs, it minimizes their pain points. Okay? For that, you need to understand how to capture the needs of your clients, the needs of your users. And this can be your students. This can be your colleagues. It doesn't have to be outside what you do. But better if it is also both inside and outside. And then, of course, it helps us to make sure that we are really, really adding more value with our knowledge. And that we are not giving topics to students that are pure topics. Just one of the things we sent in the paper is a response by Professor Oda and myself to a comment by Elon Musk that most PhDs and publications in the world today are useless. So we responded to it and said that there are solutions to that problem through the model we are talking about. It's in your paper. You can go and read it after this. Thank you very much.